Hi there, welcome to iTWireTV. Today we're joined by Seagate Executive Vice President and Chief Commercial Officer, BS Teh. Thank you so much, BS, for joining us.
Well, thank you, David, and thanks for having me.
No, thank you. And, I'm really interested to talk to you because I understand Seagate have announced the Mosaic 3 Plus heat-assisted magnetic technology, HAMR. So this sounds really exciting, but I don't know what this means. What can you tell me about Mosaic 3 Plus HAMR technology from Seagate?
Yeah, no, absolutely, and thank you for asking. Well, let me just take a step back and just talk about why is this important and what we're talking about. Firstly, I think it's about storage. I think we all know, and there's no debate really, David, that storage is growing. And the demand for storage, for people to store data, to create data, they're all growing, right? And I think the debate is about how quickly it's growing. I think with AI, generative AI, and all of those things, right, it's only creating more and more storage. So that's number one. And, I'll talk a little bit more about how much it actually is growing. Number two, it's also important to understand that there's multiple devices of choice to store your data. Hard drives, SSD, DRAM, and all that. And different devices have different applications and are suitable for different workloads. In the last IDC report, right, in an enterprise data center environment, 90%, David, of all of the data resides on disk drives, which really makes disk drive an incredibly important device to really address the storage explosion.
Yeah.
So coming back to the story today, what we're announcing is a significant technology innovation and breakthrough in the disk drive industry. We're basically announcing a platform called Mosaic, which is off the HAMR recording technology that literally doubles the growth rate of data that you can actually store. Now, this drive has got a very, very long technology history. It's been in existence, for about 50 years.
Wow.
And every so often, right, there's a technology breakthrough. Now there's improvements along the way. This counts as one of the most significant breakthrough in the history of the disk drive technology. As I mentioned, it essentially doubles the recording areal density growth that we've experienced in the last 5 to 10 years. So really, in the last 5 to 10 years, the growth in areal density, right, the amount of data that you can actually pack in a single surface, has been about less than 10%. With this new technology, it actually doubles and will be growing at more than 20%. So essentially, in 4 years, you'll be able to double your capacity on a given surface.
Well, BS, that is pretty impressive, but I guess this isn't just an academic achievement, is it? What does this really mean? What are the nuts and bolts to businesses by this announcement?
Well, when you talk about storage growth, it creates, well, lots of opportunities, but there are also lots of challenges right now, from businesses to data center operators, people who are putting, architectures, technology, platforms together and all that. Now, when we've talked to our customers, the three major challenges that we often hear: number one, scale. How do you get enough capacity to store all of that data? Second, well, budgets are never endless,
Hmm.
right? There's just so much money that you can spend, right, on anything. And thirdly, and more and increasingly more important right now, is the health of our planet, right? Sustainability, right? How do you make sure that innovation as it comes along actually heals the planet and not harm it even more? So this is what's significant about the Mosaic 3 Plus technology that we're announcing today, because, right, it really addresses these three challenges that our customers are talking about. As I mentioned earlier, right, fundamentally, in a disk drive technology, right, the core technology is really about areal density. And areal density is defined by how much data you can actually read and write on a given surface, right? So in today's environment, right, we use a 3.5-inch disk, magnetic disk, right? And the Mosaic 3, right, allows us to store more than 3 terabytes per disk. Now, the highest that we've got so far today that's commercially available in the market is 2.2 terabyte per disk. So this actually, takes it up significantly from where it is today. And Seagate is the first and the only company that has the technology to really manufacture, produce, and ship 3 terabyte per disk product. In fact, we've already started shipping this, and that translates to a 30 plus terabyte in a single disk drive, right? And we are on track to qualify several customers by the end of this quarter, by March, and we intend to ship about 1 million units by the middle of this year. So very, very significant indeed.
Yeah.
Now, talking about the cost. Now, this gives you, right, dollar per terabyte savings. Because very simply, the more capacity you want to deploy, as I mentioned earlier, right, you definitely have to spend more and more money, right? And with this technology, it allows you to have total cost of ownership savings in the form of lower cost per terabyte that you now be able to really expand, right, the capacity. Like, take for example, if you're building a data center or you're deploying storage infrastructure in your company, in your data center, and all that, right? For the budget that you have, you're going to be able to get more data, whether it's 15, 20, 30% more data by deploying the Mozaic 3 platform. And finally, on sustainability,
Yes.
this is, we're basically, 55%, reduction in carbon footprint on a per terabyte basis on this platform compared to the previous platforms. Now, it comes in a form of really our manufacturing process, using more recyclable parts along the way in the manufacturing platforms, really from renewable energy all the way to nuts and bolts as well. Also in shipping the product, because it's lighter on a cost, but on a per terabyte basis, it's a lot easier to transport. And essentially, right, basically it's the same bag of parts to give you more capacity, so to speak, right? Really, so overall, net is that a significant reduction in carbon footprint indeed for customers that that will be transitioning to this. So really, just to summarize, scale, cost, sustainability. 3 significant challenges that our customers have told us that you will get the benefit, from deploying this platform.
Yeah, that's wonderful. That's amazing. And I can really see the benefit there for customers being able to store more data in the same footprint and existing form factor that plugs in, but also helping them achieve their sustainability goals as well. That's awesome. But, I can imagine this obviously couldn't have been a simple process. I remember years ago when Seagate announced that it had increased capacity by using helium to make the gap between platters even smaller than before. I mean, this must have been a significant work. You said that the Mozaic technologies, it's built upon 50 years of activity and research, but I imagine, this wasn't a simple challenge, I'm sure. Well, I guess, can you speak to the challenges in that? Yeah, how you improved that aerial technology you've talked about? What's Seagate done here? That's impressive.
Yeah, it is indeed. It's many years of R&D and development, as you can imagine. Now, if I were to break it down simply, right, there's different components. I mean, there's like millions of parts that goes into the disk drive, right? But fundamentally, right, the core technology resides in, number one, the media itself, right? And the media is really where all the data actually is written on, right? And so that you can actually read it back, right? Now, for the media, the technology behind it is about how tightly can you pack more and more magnetic bits. Now, that's achieved by making the bits smaller, right? Of course, right? And then, in the past, right, lining it up perpendicularly versus, vertically. Vertically versus longitudinally. But this one is really about packing it with a special platinum alloy material that packs it so closely. Now, in the law of physics, when you actually pack magnetic materials too closely, it becomes unstable, right, at room temperature. So what we did, right, was to really pack it, with, as I said, the special platinum alloy material that really holds it all in one place. Now, then it creates the problem number 2. How do you read and write when you can't manipulate the data at room temperature? That's where the laser comes in, right, which is the photonics technology that we have, that really shoots a tiny, tiny laser beam into the magnetic bit itself so that it's freed up to be able to be written on. So the read-write head, right, leverages technology that is superior to what we had before because it's now reading and writing on magnetic particles that are more tiny than before. And then we'll also have to align that photonics, the laser, to really shoot that laser beam down. I know it sounds like a Star Trek movie, but it really is, right? And that's exactly how it is. Now, these technology are developed in-house. Now, the laser technology, we had actually developed an external source initially, but Seagate is known for vertical integration. And for us, right, we believe in owning not just the technology, but the entire manufacturing process of core technology inside the disk drive. So the media, the read-write heads, these are core technology, and we own the manufacturing process and technology for that, which allows us to actually develop this technology for Mozaic 3. Laser is new. So we had engaged with a company outside to really develop that with us. But at the same time, we've also been developing our own laser technology as well. And I'm pleased to say that along with this is really an announcement that we do have our in-house laser technology, and which means that we can have dual source of this technology for the manufacturing of the product. And lastly, it's the controller, right, which is on an IC and on an SoC, right? We have been developing our controllers for the past few generations. Right now, it's of the 12 nanometer node, and this one really is a new controller technology that we're deploying right now, which enhances the performance, of the drive itself. So when you put all of this together, that culminates in a Mozaic 3 Plus technology platform that we're announcing today. As I said, right, this gives us a really significant lead in the industry over any of our competitors.
That's amazing. You mentioned Star Trek. I was thinking as you were talking that this really is the stuff of science fiction. You're talking about, packing bits in so close and shooting lasers and dealing with the constraints of the laws of physics. I mean, you're on a microscopic level when you're doing that. That's phenomenal. And, as you're talking, I couldn't help but think back when you mentioned before that, data's exploding, as we know. I mean, in this current day, I'm seeing companies everywhere, trying to come up with AI strategies, data strategies. They're trying to harness their data and use it for all sorts of things. I guess it'd be pretty fair to say, wouldn't it, BS, that storage, the ability to store data, is going to play a critical role in companies' ability to innovate with data and AI and things like that? Would you think?
Oh no, absolutely. There's no question about that. I think you've heard and read several anecdotes about data. Like data is the new oil, right? And people are trying to calculate the value of data and all of those things. But there's no question. I think that again, much like the universal truth about storage, being growing, any company, any enterprise, right, that has data, right, has more data, is more likely to be successful because it helps them make better decisions. And essentially, right, you may generate lots and lots of data, but if you don't store it, there's not much good that it'll do for you. And which is why it's really important, as I said, right, coming back, right, everybody wants to store more and more data that is being generated, and it's become a challenge, scale and the cost and the sustainability efforts. Now, maybe if I could, I'll just share another fact.
Yep.
Now, IDC in their research, said that, like, by in between the 2022 and 2026, right, last couple of years through next couple of years, the total data is going to double, right? And double. I mean, just think about it. The entire data that's being generated will double, right?
Yeah.
And in fact, right? It's growing at a rate of about 30% a year. Now, in a given year today, right? Of all of the data that's being generated, only about 10 to 11% of the data that's generated is actually stored.
Really? Wow.
Yes. Right now, the rest are discarded. And yeah, I mean, there's lots of data that really practically is not of use. But to think, David, that only 10 to 11% are being stored. Now, when you look ahead, and in fact, even like right now, I mean, think about AI as an example. Now, AI fundamentally consumes data in the training models. The more data you feed so that they can actually understand and learn, right, the more powerful the AI engine can be. Now, if you're not, so basically, in order for the AI application to take off, more and more data will need to be stored, not just for the training. But then the thing is, once the application is out there, more and more data is going to be generated when it actually goes into inference. So it becomes a full circle, if you will.
Well, yes, that's really interesting. And, I'm intrigued as well about Seagate. You mentioned before that Seagate owns its whole processing, creates all these things, did all the research in the lasers. But I guess, this is probably a bit of a cheeky question, but how far can that keep you ahead? I guess, are you concerned that, your esteemed competitors are on your tail or maybe doing something else? I guess, what ultimately, I guess, at the end of the day, distinguishes Seagate from your competitors? How are you keeping yourself unique and ahead of the pack?
Well, firstly, quite honestly, we hope that our competitors are following, and we hope our competitors will continue to innovate and come up with products, because it's only healthy for the industry and for our customers, right? To have more and more people really providing and delivering on this technology. But specifically for Seagate, yes, I mean, obviously, as in any company, right, we want to make sure that we stay ahead. We have got a significant lead, as I mentioned earlier, and I think we're going to leverage on this lead, obviously, to ensure that we're able to produce the next generation platform. So along with this, we've talked about Mozaic 3, which is a 3 terabyte per disk platform. In the next couple of years, it's going to be Mozaic 4, which is 4 terabyte per disk. And then subsequently it's Mosaic 5, and so on and so forth. So there is a clear roadmap and path for us to really extend from what we have today to higher and higher areal density.
Right. No, that's wonderful. That's exciting. Well, I've really enjoyed talking to you, BS. I guess if you can just help me, because we covered a lot of things and you're really informative. So the key takeaways here are that Seagate's launching Mozaic 3 Plus, which gives you 3 terabytes per disk. And just to clarify, when we talk about disk, you mean individual platters within a disk drive, and that's why one disk drive can be 30 terabytes, right? And these are the same form factor, 3.5-inch that people currently used to, but just with more capacity. But also they're lighter, you're using better components, and because they're lighter, you're reducing your carbon footprint both in the construction, the shipping, everything. Wow. So really it's a no-brainer for companies who want to succeed and want to store data to use these drives. That's awesome. And they're already available, they're ready to ship now. You already have orders, you mentioned.
Yes, no, you're absolutely spot on. And with your summary, thank you for that. And yes, we've started shipping samples, and it's going to be in general production in the next couple of months, and available both through our distribution partners, as well as to our hyperscale data center customers as well.
Yeah, that's fantastic. No, thank you so much, BS. I've really enjoyed that. That's been fascinating as well. Not only was it genuinely interesting from a business perspective, but just fascinating, the sheer research and technology and the physics that's gone into that. It's almost beyond my comprehension.
All right. No, thank you. And we're really excited about this because yes, you're right, right? It is really fascinating, and to think about the amount of technology, the immense amount of technology that goes into this is just staggering. So
Yeah.
yeah, thank you for that.
No, thank you so much. So that's been Seagate Executive Vice President and Chief Commercial Officer, BS Teh. Thank you so much, BS.
Thank you.
Take care.